Today, I need to make an apology, and I'm going to explain exactly what it's about as it comes back to the mental toughness issues I've been talking about. And I had an interesting experience watching this matchup between myself and Chris. I've continued to learn a lot about myself, a lot about the perfectionism that I've dealt with in the past, and how it's continuing to kind of bubble to the surface a little bit as I get challenged by good opponents like Chris. So as I process through this, I want to share the journey with you. I've seen so much of the feedback and encouragement and people out there just saying, wow, like this is my story too. I'm dealing with this. I'm struggling with this. So I want to make this as much of a public experience as possible for myself so I can hopefully help as many people as I can. So really quickly, let's go ahead and kick this off. And there was a big surprise for me when I watched myself. And by the way, there's going to be spoilers in this video. If you already haven't watched part 1 and part 2 of my match with Chris, I highly recommend you watch that. I'll link them right down below in the comments. When I watched part 2 with all of you yesterday as it premiered, it was a big surprise to me because in the moment, as I was playing against Chris in person, I had this kind of boiling feeling inside of me of any time I would make a mistake that I would feel like, oh, this is so terrible. This is such bad tennis. I keep spraying the ball. I keep making these unforced errors. But then when I watched the video back, it was actually a very different experience for me. I was actually happy with what I saw. Now, I still made the same mistakes, and it was still painful for me to see myself make those mistakes. But within the full context of viewing myself battling against Chris, running, getting tired out, the quality of his shots, hearing his comments and the things that he was working through as well, when I viewed that part of the match through the context of the entire competition, I was really surprised. I realized that we were actually having a great battle back and forth, and it was a different kind of perspective. And so let me show you a video really quickly here. Here's a point that I feel like, to me, kind of exemplified what I was trying to do in this match. And when it would work out well, it basically went like this. This is kind of like my ideal point right here. So rally forehand, the drive backhand, 2 drive backhands in a row, inside out forehand, attacking shot. And then closing forwards, attacking at the net.
That's a great shot. Let's go.
So maybe you remember that point if you watched that part of the match. Like, I was super pumped up after that point. In the moment and watching it back, I feel like that's like a perfect example of the quality of tennis that I'm striving to play. The heaviness of the inside out forehand, the months and months of work went into being able to hit those topspin backhands. They weren't perfect, but the fact that I hit several of them in the match was, I felt really proud about that I was able to, and slowly I'm accomplishing that goal of being able to hit that drive backhand. And so at that point, I transitioned in, I put away the overhead. Awesome. It's like boom, 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 boom. Like, everything went exactly the way I wanted, and that was fantastic. And the first lesson I think that I've learned from watching myself play back against Chris is simply this. Lesson number 1 is that ideal points aren't normal. So please tell me if this resonates with you. Like, I just played you an example of isolated points, like one battle against Chris where everything worked out the way I wanted. And so at any point in that exchange, potentially I could have blown it. I could have sprayed the forehand. I could have netted the drive backhand. I could have missed the overhead potentially. So many different things could have gone in a different way. But instead, I strung everything together exactly the way I wanted. And that's why after that point, I gave myself the big positive yell, the big come on, let's go. Because I knew inside, deep inside, I know I'm capable of hitting all those shots back to back to back to back. But in real life, against an opponent who's pushing hard to make me uncomfortable, to keep me off balance, to make things as difficult as humanly possible for me. In real life, in a competitive battle, it's not normal to play an ideal point, point after point after point after point. And I realized watching back my match play against Chris that I had kind of fallen for the old trap. And I'm about to play another clip here where I actually kind of exposed myself in part 2 of that match. I was falling for the old trap of having my expectations be very, very, very high. There was a piece of me that felt like I should be able to play that ideal point, point after point after point after point, and therefore come away victorious against Chris, all while he was trying to make my life super, super difficult. So this is lesson number 1 for me. I'm going to come around to the apology. Lesson 1 for me from watching my experience watching myself in this match was that I can't possibly expect myself to rinse and repeat that like perfect point every single time. Lesson number 2, everybody's dealing with their own stuff. So I had my internal things that I was dealing with. Chris had his internal things too. You're going to see how these things match up and why it links to my apology in just a second. But let me show you an example of Chris talking about the stuff that he was dealing with. Listen to this. This is from my, let me just play it for you, and then let me tell you kind of the lesson I took away from this.
That game was really, really, really bad. My return, I don't really know what to do in my returns at this point. My chip, it's not working very well. Usually I don't miss my chip return. My forehand chip, I'm just missing it, swinging too much or something. And when I try to hit through it, he's serving my backhand a lot, so it's not going very well. So I completely went passive. That set of games.
This is a little bit later in that set.
I tend to do that sometimes. Generally, it works pretty well most of the time. I don't like to play that way. People tend to not like to play that style, so I really don't want to play that way, so I'm going to try to change it, but I'm just trying to compete.
So there's Chris, and thank you, Chris, for being vulnerable and talking about the stuff that you were struggling with. He's talking about technical things that just aren't working the way he wants. He's talking about ups and downs in his intensity and his kind of play style not working out the way that he wants, having to come back and be more of a competitor and not be so passive. Like as I'm like busy kind of being super focused on like my mistakes and spraying the ball and I got to hit more curve on my forehand, Chris is in his own world dealing with his own stuff. He's got his own struggles. He has his own issues that he's trying to process through and work through. And that's what tennis is all about. Tennis is not about two perfect people hitting perfect shots. Like we have this picture of like 2008, Wimbledon final where it's like heaven tennis, where it's like both players are just hitting winner after winner after winner after winner. And so we kind of, I'll speak for myself. And so I kind of have this image in my head of like my perfect tennis. And meanwhile, I don't realize that rather than just kind of like fussing about my errors and being so self-focused and like having a pity party about the mistakes that I'm making, I'm totally missing the fact that my opponent is struggling with his own stuff on the other side of the net. And that's a lost opportunity on my part because I'm not focusing on what I could possibly exploit, but it also leads to disrespectful behavior. And that's the thing that I want to apologize today. And so this is lesson number 3. Good tennis is about the battle. It's about the struggle. It's about two imperfect people, both with their own problems, both with their own errors, their own mistakes, trying to figure out a way to win. And early in the second set, in this part 2 of this match, I gave myself a very direct reminder about this. And I want to play that for you really quickly. You might not have caught this. Here were my thoughts kind of early in that second set. The mental demon I'm fighting right now is in the back of my mind. I'm like imagining myself apologizing to like Topher and Ira because it's like an ugly match. We're just really not seeing any exchanges, rallies. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. All that matters is there's two people on a tennis court. They're dealing with their own stuff. They're dealing with their own challenges and obstacles. And we're both putting ourselves voluntarily in this position to challenge ourselves and see who can figure it out the best. So that was early in the second set. And it was kind of right as I was starting to kind of deal with some frustration and some annoyance at myself about starting to make mistakes. And I'm happy that I caught it. Like I felt it coming. And I said to the camera, I can feel this like urge to like apologize to everybody because the quality of the tennis is so poor. And this is where I'm embarrassed about how I acted later on in that very same set after catching myself and giving myself the reminder, no, Ian, it's not about you. It's not about like being fixated on like your mistakes or your errors. We're both dealing with our mistakes. Like this is what it's all about. Tennis is all about that battle from player to player, the struggle back and forth of trying to problem solve, trying to do the best you can with less than perfect tools, less than perfect mental toughness, less than perfect strategy and tactics, and just seeing who's going to win. And so I caught myself, but then later on, in that very same set, I did the exact thing that I told myself I wasn't going to do. So let me play that. You probably missed this, but let me play it back. Here's what happened later in that very same set. This was a couple games later.
Come on.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. And so I did it anyway. I hit like my classic like spray error forehand, and I looked up to Topher and Ira, and I said, "I'm sorry, guys. Like this is." And what I really meant by that, in that moment of frustration, what I was really saying was, like I'm embarrassed. Like I'm ashamed of what's happening on this tennis court. I'm sorry that I can't play perfect points. You know, I was like, and what I'm really doing there is I'm trying to protect my own ego. Like I'm trying to make an excuse for myself about why I'm not playing perfect points after perfect point. And maybe you feel like maybe I'm being over dramatic here, but you have to understand that my past, I was in such like a self-hatred, negative space, such a negative, dark place, that when I watch myself and I see myself do that, that's where I honestly, truly feel the need to apologize for that behavior because it's disrespectful. That like apology to Ira and to Topher for having to watch my bad tennis, it's disrespectful mostly to Chris. And as soon as I said it, I regretted it. As soon as I apologized to Topher and Ira, I felt in front of Chris. Because the message that I'm sending to Chris is, oh, I'm playing so bad right now. And you've probably all heard this communicated before on a tennis court. When somebody plays like a classic pusher, which I don't consider Chris a pusher, just FYI. But the classic place where this happens is on the internet or in person. When somebody plays a defensive player, they come up with these excuses like, oh, this is so ugly. This isn't real tennis. If they just knew how to play real tennis, then I could win. Excuse, excuse, excuse. And all that player is doing is trying to protect their own ego, trying to make excuses for why this isn't a legitimate result. They're posturing and gaslighting and trying to protect themselves from the L. And in that quick, you probably missed it if you've seen part 2 of the video, but in that quick, moment, that quick exchange that I had with Ira and Topher, that's what I was doing. So I wanna apologize mostly to Chris for for saying that disrespectful thing on the court. And what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to check myself. Number one, I do not want to go back down that path again of excuses, of anger. That was such a negative, like dark place for me to be. But it's also disrespectful to Ira up there doing his best to call the match, to Topher, and it's disrespectful to tennis. It doesn't honor the game to make comments like that. It doesn't honor the game when both players are battling and struggling and trying to figure out, a solution to the problem that is their opponent. I feel like making comments like that is a really, underhanded thing. And sure, it was like a quick, you think it was like a throwaway, comments. You probably didn't even realize I did it in the first place, but maybe you did. Either way, I'm not so much trying to make this about like the apology, but more so I'm hoping you learn from my mistakes. That's why I show my mistakes, in hopes that it's helpful to other players. So to be totally honest, I'm really curious what what people think. I know a certain percentage of people will think I'm totally overblowing this and maybe even trying to like make this like dramatic and like way bigger than it actually is. I have a feeling that a certain percentage of people are also going to really resonate with this, and I guess it's for those people that I'm doing this. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what side you fall in on. At the end of the day, I'm only doing this because I feel it's necessary for myself, like for my own, I don't want to use the word healing necessarily, but for my own development, like for my own journey. I feel I feel a responsibility to kind of call myself out. And on the surface, maybe it doesn't seem like a big deal, but I know based on my history what it leads to. Like if I let that go unchecked, if I let that kind of disrespect go unchecked, and that kind of like ego protecting go unchecked, then it keeps spiraling downwards, and I don't want to find myself back in that position again. That's the last thing that I want. I'm coming up next month. I'm going to turn 40, and I want to play tennis another 40 years. And if I go back to that place again, I can't make any guarantees that I'll enjoy it enough to keep playing that much longer. So yeah, those are my thoughts for today. Curious what everybody thinks. Part of me feels like I'm making too big a deal out of it, but I'm curious what the comments are like as well. So I'll do a little bit of Q&A here. I haven't been paying attention to the chat at all. After the stream is done, please let me know what you think in the comments after the stream is finished so I can see your comments. But curious, and we don't have to stay on this topic. If you have other questions for me, feel free to leave your comments or your questions in the chat. Hey, Scott. Scott said, honesty is the best policy. Yeah, I honestly felt really embarrassed. In the moment, when it came out, I felt ashamed of myself. And when I played it back and I saw how much more of a battle it was than what I realized, like in my mind, in the moment, I was like, oh, like I should be able to just keep smashing winners. A piece of me like was thinking that in the moment. And that's the piece of me that apologized for making errors. But then later on, when I watched back the video and I realized how much of a battle it was on both sides, even more so, I felt like I really failed by letting that slip out. Let's see. I play tennis. Hey, Rainier. Play tennis about once a week. Season starts next week. I'm busy. What should I focus on in my first consistent practice in order to get good start to the season? Yeah, I honestly, I mean, especially after that talk that we just had, I feel like focus on having fun. Keep your expectations low. If you go out to that first practice, with like the internal like expectation that you're gonna play like your best tennis right away, and can't wait to crush this player or that player. And you know, if you focus on the competitive side and like the your performance, like if that's at the top of your focus, then you're setting yourself up for possible frustration. Maybe you'll play great. Like, and I hope you play fantastic. But playing once a week and then going out to your first practice, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself without really being in full training mode. So my honest like suggestion would be just focus on having a good time. The camaraderie, getting together, you know, with your teammates again, the exercise, like being outside, like just enjoy the experience. And then as you get more into the full swing of things with your season, then you can start to think more about results and like wins and losses and stuff like that. Those are my thoughts. Gresham, compared to some of the things I've thought on the court, it's not that bad. Yeah. Trust me, me too. Yeah, I'm not trying to like position this like some kind of like huge like catastrophic failure on my part. I'm just trying to stay honest to myself and honest to everybody else. And I know that if left unchecked, that little innocent, you know, sounding like excuse for myself leads to way worse behavior. Like, and I've been there. Saying way worse things and doing way worse things. It's not that bad, but I can understand why you want to do better. I think we all do. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Gretchen. Can you pronounce my name correctly today? No, probably not. No, probably not. Not unless you tell me how to pronounce your name. Sorry. Mark. James Taka. Thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Not sure if I ever felt sorry for being sorry in a tennis match. I feel sorry about this. Yeah, that definitely dawned on me that I was saying sorry for saying sorry. Yeah, it's definitely kind of awkward. Sorry about that. Yeah, for sure. We are dream chasers. We're dream chasers. Tennis teaches us so much about life. Yeah, 100%. And that's why another reason why I felt kind of compelled to share this was that's always been a passion of mine, is kind of the overlap between tennis and the rest of life. And I want to learn better this lesson, you know, for myself, not just on the court, but off the court as well, for sure. Brian Mark, thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. When did you change your racket during the match? I don't remember when it was, AZN. I don't remember when, but yeah, I remember I did. I switched over to the yellow one. There's slightly different tensions, and so sometimes when things aren't going my way, like if I have a racket that I know the string bed is a little bit tighter, and I'm kind of spraying the ball a little bit, then I'll switch it up and go to the one that I know is a little bit tighter. It's not a real fix, but you know, you try stuff, see what happens. Pakchu, subscriber attorney, that would be awesome. Why do you think tennis is so frustrating sometimes? Yeah, Rieker, I mean that could probably literally write a whole book about that. Not necessarily me, but like broadly speaking, like a book could be written about that topic. I think it's a combination of you being put out there on your own, like on a literal like stage, all alone, and you're left by yourself with nobody to coach you most of the time in singles. Nobody to coach you, nobody to support you, and you're like exposed in like this open space. Like the TV show Naked and Afraid like comes to mind for me. It's like you're dropped off in this like wilderness with like nothing but your tennis racket. I'm being a little dramatic, obviously, but psychologically speaking, like you're just put out there by yourself, and you have to deal with so many different personal obstacles, like mental, psychological, physical, you know, obstacles. You have to deal with failure again and again and again and again. We talked in Tuesday's stream about how, you know, 70% of tennis points end with somebody making an error, making a mistake. you have to be able to process and then let go of failure after failure after failure when you're just all alone, like by yourself. And that's something that is really hard for a lot of people, especially depending on your personality. So that in a small like nutshell, that's my answer to that question, why it's so frustrating. Hey, tennis. Hey, Paris Bros. Hey, no worries. No need to apologize for being not super active. It's tough. It's tough to keep up on YouTube. There's just so much going on. All right, let's see what else we have here. Ever try shifting your grip towards more Western grip? No, that's not a real fix. If I needed to keep my racket face more closed, it's a matter of staying relaxed and turning my hand a little more. You know, you can keep turning your grip further and further and further and still hitting the ball out. Trust me, you can hit long with a full Western grip. You can spray the ball with a full Western grip. And so the grip is not a fix for spraying the ball. That's my thoughts in a nutshell. Patrick Bickle, I want to start distinguishing two-handed backhand actually just a two-handed topspin backhand. Most have a one-handed slice. And move on. Just play MEP. MEP is coming up. We're just a couple days away now. It's going to start next week. MEP videos are going to start next week. Do you think that you implied that you would be beating Chris if you're playing? Yes, Clay. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great way of saying it, and that's why I feel like it's such a disrespectful thing to say. Yeah, when Ian says, "I'm sorry, guys. This is so bad." When Ian says, "I'm sorry, guys," what I'm really saying is, "This is terrible. I'm playing so bad." You hear tennis players say this all the time, right? Oh, this is so terrible. I'm playing so bad. And what the underlying message really is I should be winning so easily right now. The underlying message is, if I was only hitting the shots that I usually hit, I would be crushing this person. Like, that's what you're actually saying. And so that's why in the moment I felt super ashamed, because it's just such a disrespectful thing to say to the other person on the other side of the net. Like, I see you over there fighting and struggling and grinding. You got your own problems. You've got your own struggles. You have your own obstacles you're trying to overcome right now. But if I was hitting all my forehands in, I'd be smoking you right now. Like, it's such a terrible message to send. Yeah, you totally put your finger on it. Who was it that said that? Yeah, Clay Martin. Yeah, exactly. Do you think that you implied that you would be beating Chris if you were playing better? That's 100% inside. Like, that's 100% what I meant by saying I'm sorry, I'm playing so bad. And that's why when I watched myself back, I felt like I really had to make this video, because when I watched myself back, I was like, wow, this is a great, battle back and forth. And it made me feel even more, ashamed of stooping to that level in the middle of that match. Hopefully that makes sense. Hey, Reeker Boy, thank you, man. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. George Basham, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. That's nice of you guys. Goober Bob, yeah, you can have a shout out. Dan McKay, prep for MEP would be to do heavy work on swing volleys and overheads. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so leading up to the match play, you're going to see me training with Scott Brody. You'll see me training with Matt from Essential Tennis. And we set up very specific, purposeful kind of patterns and drills and point play scenarios to mimic that kind of play style. And so it very much revolved around approaching the net, putting away volleys, putting away overheads, etc. Have you seen Hamilton? No, I haven't seen Hamilton. Hey, Hubert. Thanks for your support. I appreciate it. I know sometimes I need to let out frustration. I hope the opponent doesn't take that as disrespect. Yeah, yeah, it's a fine line. Is there a positive way you can vent your frustration? Hui, thank you. Thanks for the help with the pronunciation. Hopefully I'm saying that right, even with your help. Yeah, Hui. Yeah, there's worse. Trust me. Yeah, there's better ways, and there's worse ways. For me, I felt like that was a very low, like that's a very lowbrow, underhanded way of venting and showing frustration. Yeah, man, what are good ways? I mean, I think just generally like yelling, like letting out a frustrated like shout or yell, after a miss. I think it's obvious. That's totally like self-focused. Just don't bring in your opponent into it, right? Don't direct it towards them. Make it about yourself, but not in like a an excuses kind of way, not in like a letting yourself off the hook kind of way, not in any kind of way that like delegitimizes the match, not in any way that makes it feel to anybody watching that you feel like this isn't fair or this isn't good tennis or this isn't real tennis or um, if you literally say I'm playing so bad, again, I think the underlying like message there is like, especially if it's close. That's the thing. When we were a game apart when I made that comment, and so like if I was losing 0, like if I lost the first set love 6 and I'm down love 5, like that's one thing. But if it's a close match and you're outwardly saying this is so bad, this is terrible, this is like the worst match ever, then the message that you're sending across the net is I should be just crushing you right now. I should be if I was playing my real game, then I would be dominating you. But you have to understand that your opponent plays a role in you playing poorly. That's their job, is to try to make you play poorly. So if they're succeeding, it's disrespectful for you to make it all about yourself and say, oh, I'm so bad, this is like I'm playing so terrible, like does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of difficult. I'm glad I'm kind of processing this, out loud. It's not easy to explain, but hopefully that makes sense. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, I'm really behind on the chat. How do you think Chris did first time playing on the court? Oh, I think he did awesome. And Chris and I have been messaging back and forth as his videos have been coming out. He really badly wants to come back and play. Like he totally like has the bug now. Now that he's been here on the court, he's experienced it, and now he sees the videos coming out and all of your like participation and your comments, and he's like so pumped about it, and he's like he wants to get on our schedule to play again. So yeah, I think he did amazing. The first time on this court, I've heard so many different people, describe it and explain it. The first, who was it that told me this is the most nervous? Oh, Scott Baxter. You guys know who Scott Baxter is from Play Your Court? He's one of our match video sponsors. He told me he was a national level junior player. He played D1 college tennis at, where did he play? University of Virginia? I don't remember. Anyway, he played D1 college tennis. And when he played his singles match against me, and then he played doubles with Nate against Kevin and I, he told me later that it was the most nervous he'd ever been in his life on a tennis court. And that's somebody who had high level junior, high level, high school, college, like the whole 9 yards. So like being in this environment is a special treat if you like competition. And I think Chris did fantastic. Let's see. Any plan on competing for the Nationals 4 level as Mark did? Not right now. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do next, Benoit. I don't know. I'd like to sign up for a tournament. now that I'm back to kind of training and hitting quite a bit again. So it's not impossible. We'll see. I'd like to play a tournament sometime soon. Would you revert to the slice backhand if that's not working that day? Oh, Mitch. Yeah, so Mitch is asking about MEP. Okay. This is a really good question. So you've seen me in these other kind of matches leading up to playing Ben do things that I knew weren't necessarily the best chance for me winning the match. Like kind of forcing myself to try to hit more drives, staying on the baseline instead of coming up to the net. When I play Ben, I definitely my mindset and my goal is to do whatever possible to win. Like that's going to be a match where for me the switch is going to flip and I'm going to go all in on trying to win. Like that to me is like a winning challenge, not like a development challenge. And so if my drive isn't working, I will use the slice. Yeah, I'll put the drive away in a heartbeat. If it's not the clear path to having my best chance of winning, I'll use the slice. Different mindset in that match for me than these other ones that I've had. Let's see, I'll just take a few more here. A lot of chat, man, just a lot of chat today. I really appreciate you all hanging out today. Thank you so much. I'm kind of searching for good questions. I see a lot of questions. Hey, Jeremy Parrish. Hey, what's up? Good to see you in here. What are your thoughts on players creating and analyzing videos of themselves playing? I find it can be counterproductive unless there's a solid overall grasp of technique and shot choice. Yeah, Joseph Mendez, I'm blanking on the name of Intuitive Tennis. I think it's Intuitive Tennis. He did a video recently where he talked about, yeah, Intuitive Tennis, Nicola. He did a video recently where he was talking about how people, the video title was, Are You a Tennis Technique Addict? And I thought that was a great video where he's talking about people who get super over analytical. They have like a million thoughts in their mind about all their different swings, and they like record everything, and they're like going like frame by frame and comparing themselves to Nadal or Federer or whoever. You can go too far in that direction. There's no question about it. You can get paralysis by analysis and just spin your wheels and focus on things that don't even matter. And I think what you pointed out is fair too. You can also record yourself and just not even know what you're looking at and end up focusing on the wrong thing and maybe going in the wrong direction. Like that's possible as well. So I think tennis players, okay, just because it's possible to overanalyze does not mean that you shouldn't record yourself. My personal opinion is that every tennis player should record themselves who wants to improve. If you just want to have fun and get exercise, then no need to record yourself. If you're pushing and striving to be like the best tennis player possible and you want to improve, then recording yourself is the single best tool that you can possibly do. Now, once you record yourself, it's up to you to educate yourself on what the heck you're looking at. And so just because you record yourself, it's not some magical, it's not going to just magically fix everything just because you saw yourself on video. You still have to know what's good and what's bad and what's important to focus on and what's not important to focus on. And so I guess that's kind of why I feel like I exist on the internet. Like that's why I feel passionate about what I do, is because I want to provide resources and insights and instruction that helps people self-educate and learn what's important. So I think it's dangerous to overanalyze. I think if you're keen on improving, it's more dangerous to not ever see yourself on video at all. Like I think the downside of never recording yourself and never seeing yourself is way bigger than recording yourself and maybe falling into the trap of overanalyzing. I think you have to know yourself too, like what your personality is. Some people are just more naturally gonna lean in that direction of just analyzing themselves to death. That's not good either. Like, just to be really, really clear. Really good question. 757 general comment: all players in the ET arena universe are cool cats, not easy to find in tennis circles. I mean, I totally agree that they're all incredible. Like, I love all the guys who put themselves out on the line here. Like, I love all of them. They're incredible guys. I love spending time with all of them. I love hitting with them. I love watching them play. So I mean, I totally agree. I feel like maybe you're being a little unfair towards tennis in general by saying it's not easy to find cool players. Maybe that's overstating a little bit. I understand what you're saying. Like, I hear where you're coming from. Tennis players can be super sensitive, super, huge egos, huge like tempers, lots of drama. I get it. But I agree. We have an exceptional group of players on this court. It's awesome. All right. Hey, Footfault Tennis, what's up? Bill, thanks for doing the Serve 101 course. Really appreciate it. All right, I think I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Thanks for your understanding today. And really curious to see what the comments are like about today's topic. And let me know either way. And please, be honest either way. I'm really, honestly, I'm pretty curious, I guess is the best word I can think of. I'm super curious to see what the reaction is to today's video. Johnny Be Good, yeah, I'll continue to be inside during the summer. It's just super valuable to have the controlled environment, the lights. We don't have to worry about wind. We don't have to worry about traffic. We don't have to worry about other people walking, through our court, back and forth, or distractions. We have our own challenges here, but it's much easier here to make videos than it is outside. All right, that's it. I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Part 3 of my matchup with Chris is coming out tomorrow. What is today? Today's Thursday. It's coming out on Friday, tomorrow. Next week, videos with Ben will start getting published. I don't know for sure what day yet, but it's going to be next week. James, thank you for absolving my my iniquities. I appreciate it. All right, thank you all, everybody. Thanks. I hope you all have a great day. I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care.